Well, welcome everyone to the Her Roots, Her Story. All of y'all are very accomplished artists. I wanted to go back to where it all started. I wanted my first question to be, can you share, and anybody can start, can you share your first memory of creating art and how it influenced your decision to pursue this path?
When can I start? My goodness. I guess I could say I started when I was little. My parents always tell me this. They would always catch me I think around the time I was 3. They used to always be in front of the TV watching Disney cartoons. And they caught me drawing some of the cartoons like Roly Poly Oly, PB&J Adder, like all the nostalgic, like 90s cartoons. And it just kind of developed ever since. Like I've always had some type of love for the art world. I think it developed even more after Hurricane Katrina. Art became kind of like my therapy. And despite of everything that was going on, being in the Superdome, those different type of things. And it helped me find my way to this program, YAYA, and I just haven't left ever since. I've been here since 2008 in YAYA, and if it wasn't for YAYA, I really don't know where I would honestly be. They did so much for me, presented many opportunities, and I've just been so blessed, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the question is, how did I get started?
Yes, and what influenced your decision to pursue this path?
I think the decision was probably ordained before I came into the world, actually. But as far as drawing and just appreciating art, it started at a very young age. I always was drawn to just creating images, people, places, houses, stuff like that, and just, you know, anything that I could, any opportunity that I had to pick up a piece of paper, a pencil, you know, I was always driven and drawn to just the idea of creating something from my imagination. So I always had that in me, and I just think over time, you know, I organically kind of landed upon the idea of, you know what, I could do something more than just drawing. You know, it was high school actually, when I actually took my first art class. You know, and I tell my students, because I do teach middle school students, I say, gosh, you guys are very lucky, because I didn't get my first art class till I got to high school. And so I do art in high school. I actually ran into the founder of YAYA. She came to our classroom. She introduced us to her gallery space. It wasn't YAYA at the time, but that's where I really started to gain a different perspective on how I could take my artwork to the next level and not just be someone that liked to draw, but wow, I can actually make a career out of this. I can actually inspire others. So that was very pivotal for me. And fast forward to today, I just kind of stayed on the journey, you know, and stayed creative.
I love that. It seems like we have a theme of you all have started as artists and then go and inspire the next generation. So we'll definitely talk more about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I guess for me, it was recognized by other people before it was recognized by me, myself. Because I can remember I was supposed, like in school, I was supposed to be doing my work, you know, like doing my schoolwork, and I was drawing, and one of the teachers, like, you know, took one of my pictures from me, and she walked out of the class, and then a little while after, she had someone come and take me out of class. So I thought I was going to the principal office for like not doing my work and like drawing, but she actually had given my drawing to the talented individual artists, teachers, and staff to see, and she actually wrote a recommendation for me to be put into the talented individual arts. I don't know if it was because I was so distracted in drawing and doodling all the time that she thought I probably needed an outlet, or she just like recognized my talent at the time. But that's kind of been the trend, like along my path as an artist. It's always been a blessing because somebody's kind of pulled me into the different directions that I've gone. And even through YAYA, I was introduced to sewing through one of the mentorship programs over summer. And I just kind of like, you know, latched onto it and just kept going from there. So my start was always with somebody outside of me, like recognizing something in me that I probably would have, you know, not even recognized.
Nice. It seems like do you feel like that was a pivotal moment for your artist career? Since it's, I know, the very beginning of it.
Yeah, actually, you know, before that, I wouldn't have even called myself an artist. You know, the word was similar to what I guess both of the other two artists were saying. The word was kind of introduced to me, like, wow, your art is great, and the title artist is kind of like, oh, okay, you know, like, that sounds like something that I'd like to do. Yeah.
No, that is a great segue into the next question of, you know, what were some of those pivotal moments or experiences that really solidified your identity as an artist?
Okay. I guess you could say through the program. I guess that kind of solidified everything. To be honest, I didn't really know where my art was gonna really or anything, but through the different programs, through YAYA, Urban Heroes, and even Paint the World, those different type of things, it really kind of just latched on to me like, okay, maybe this is where I could be, even working on some of the murals throughout the city or some of the different, I guess what they call those, there used to be little boxes that's placed around the city for like some of the plants, those different type of things. Like opening me up to those different type of projects and seeing like, you know, what I can do. Or any other commission work through different companies, those different type of things. It started from then and even attending through Xavier. I'm so blessed for my professors and then mentors here, Rondé Shea, Mapo Canor, Martin Payton, Augustine Jenkins, Ron Theron Ratliff. The list goes on and stuff. They opened me to so many different possibilities of art and how far it can take me. Joining the Joan Mitchell I'll be here all day, y'all. But
we're here for it. To hear about y'all.
Just from being exposed to those different opportunities, it's like, okay, I could definitely see myself as an artist, and I definitely would love to inspire others, you know, that was in the same spot that I was in, to see like, hey, this is a possibility. I know that it's not always like, I guess, seen in the light as talking about it, but you know, thanks to social media, you know, like it has opened up so many doors for different artists like us and marketing ourselves, those different type of things. So I guess, so yeah, that kind of answers the question.
Yes, you definitely answered it. Yes. Thank you, Kara.
Well, you go ahead.
Oh, I can hit the question again.
Yes, what were some pivotal moments, you kind of answered this a little bit in your response, but what were some pivotal moments or experiences that solidified your identity as an artist?
Yeah, the summer program with the fashion, being introduced to that kind of just sparked something in my brain, because I guess as a creative and as an artist, you can apply it to a lot of different mediums. And so it always comes to a point where an artist has to like choose one. And so like that just kind of like, you know, took hold of me, the sewing and the textiles and I guess like the feel of it. And, you know, it's almost like sculpting, you know, and the pivotal moment was actually when I did the runway show at the Alton Museum. It was an extra component to art where it was just like something exciting is happening after I finished this artwork. But also there was like kind of a two-edged sword when it came to that, because what wound up happening is I wanted to solidify my, you know, brand and name as an artist, but I got sort of pulled into the fashion design side of things, which is not really where I wanted to be. So it's like a constant, you know, like back and forth, because like when people find out what you do as far as like making wearable art, they kind of want to automatically put you in the group of like, oh, you're a fashion designer. Well, no, I'm an artist that uses textiles to express their work.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, how would you advise someone that maybe looks at you as a mentor to have those conversations when you're trying to, you know, explain yourself as an artist or maybe, you know, showcase all the things that you do?
I think a lot of the times, people can hear, but they also have to see. So what I learned was that when you tell somebody what you do, they don't necessarily immediately understand or interpret it. So you have to create examples, and you have to put yourself out there so they can actually see it. Because with this last project through the Alumni Foundation, it was really my first time focusing on art as, you know, my main focus, as opposed to focusing on commission work that somebody else was requesting me to do, because it had turned into like a job.
Yeah.
You know, so people were calling, and it was their vision that I was just executing. So these pieces were actually my opportunity to execute my vision specifically. And so it was able to be more of an artistic expression.
Yeah.
And so it does kind of get, you know, challenging, but you have to make sure not only to just explain your vision to people, but I found out how important it is to make sure that you create something visual for them to see and prove what you're telling them.
That's great advice. I want to have you expand on that, because I never even, just as you're talking, thinking about, as, you know, you said you do art through textiles. So it's like me as I feel like a layperson, I'm not an artist. I would never have thought about it in that way until you explained it. So thank you.
Like they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so the journey. You said, what was the pivotal moment? Oh boy. I'm trying to shorten this as much as I can. The pivotal moment when I realized I was an artist, I can look at so many aspects of this, but I will say, of course, joining YAYA back in 1989, 1990, and having that first show with the mayor of New Orleans, who was Mark Morial at the time. We had a ribbon cutting at the Barone Street Gallery, and I was able to sell my first drawing. And the whole mission of YAYA was all about entrepreneurship, and really you had to come to the studio after school, and you almost had to have the mindset of an artist, because you were around your peers, you were around other, you know, young people from the city of New Orleans gathering around, spending 2 hours after school painting, almost a competitive type of environment. So in that sense, it kind of gave me my first taste of what it means to be an artist. But then, you know, over time, I graduated, went to college. I was always one of those people who I did good academically, graduated valedictorian, but I also had this artistic side of me. So while I was at LSU, I was also, you know, trying to do art every now and then, but also another pivotal moment, because it kind of left me. Being an artist kind of left the building, because I wanted to be, you know, academically great. I wanted to graduate with the degrees, you know, get the job. But it was until I got my first job at a haircare company in Atlanta called Bronner Brothers. And I worked with the models. I worked with the fashion designers. You know, I worked with all these wonderful artists. And so it inspired me to maybe dip or dab into what I can create. After all these years, what can I create? So I remember experimenting for the first time, because I had left off maybe, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And so what have I become as an artist? What could I do? So I did my first pieces, and I also did it. So I actually had my first show at the Bronner Brothers Hair Show. My very first show, because what they were doing at the office, they were noticing what I was doing. So I did my first few pieces for a couple of the people I worked with in the building at Bronner Brothers. And so I had my first show in 2003, and I think at that point that was very pivotal, because for the first time it was just me. It was just me, solo, and I was nervous. I had my brother with me, and I had my work up, and I was able to sell a few pieces, a few prints or whatever. So that solidified it for me. And then I just kept going, and like with you know, sometimes you just evolve. People want to put you in a box. But at the end of the day, as an artist, you have the freedom to evolve however you want to evolve. Currently, you know, I'm known for doing figurative art, but I also like abstracts. So now I'm evolving more to abstracts and possibly fashion again. Because unlike her, which is opposite, I actually wanted to be a fashion designer as a young person. And so it kind of happened where I was painting and doing all the other stuff, so the fashion got on the back burner. So I definitely understand how things happen for you to kind of pivot your destiny. So that's basically it. I could go on and on. I'm going to stop right now.
No, I appreciate all the stories that y'all have shared, especially the advice. I'm sure this will help many, many people. You all have, touched on the role of YAYA in your careers, but I wanted to see if is there any one or two mentors that you want to highlight and talk about how they were impactful to your career?
Ooh, there's so many. Really, because being in YAYA, because we're, I guess, such a small group, I guess I'm very grateful for that. It was very much more intimate, more hands-on, and I could definitely say the most impactful ones, I kind of mentioned them before, definitely were people like Mr. Brown. I call him Mr. Brown. He hates when I call him that, but I do. Mr. Ratliff, Rondell, Teron, for those who don't know who he is, Teron, great person. He was close to my family. Even Sharika, definitely. No, like seriously. Just from them coming into the space and seeing what we're working on, like it definitely made a difference. It's great to always see alumni come back, check in on you to see what you're doing and stuff. It makes you feel seen, and giving all different types of advice and things that can help push you to your goal. I really didn't know where I was gonna go with my artwork. But they presented me these different opportunities, like even with Rondell, at one point we were doing comics, or with Ron and stuff, working on different murals, or with the chair designs and stuff. I remember when I first came to YAYA, that was my first project, working on a chair. Never I would have thought, like, after that summer, I would be able to sell it for White Women Night. And I was like one of the first few. I think it was me, Q, and another person. For those who know, they know who those people are. But they've definitely been inspiring to me. And even like what they're doing right now, even with Derroles with her amazing garments. Like if y'all have not seen them, like I'm talking to people online right now. But if y'all have not seen them, like please come by and see them. They are so amazing. And even just them seeing their work and what they're doing right now, currently, even with Sharika, working with Disney, those different type of things. It really motivated me, like what I'm doing is what I need to do, and but I need to like keep pushing like my knowledge onto the next generation, as an art educator, so yeah, they definitely imprinted like a part in my life, and I'm very grateful to them for that.
And I'm very glad this is recorded, so we could probably snip some into all the people you named. So that was really beautiful.
Yes.
So the question is, you all have talked about the role of YAYA in your careers, but if there's any specific mentors from the program that you'd like to highlight, please tell us how they were impactful to your journey.
Well, I think YAYA, the way that it was structured, and it's gone through different generations because it's an organization of the alumni process, and so there's different groups and different generations of YAYAs, which is really impactful in the program, because what that does is it creates a whole group of mentors that you come up under, through the process. And they're all the previous YAYAs that have gone through the alumni process and completed it are now the mentors of the new incoming generation. And so you always had people like Sharika and other alumni around to guide you and to try to positively influence you and like give you honest truth sometimes. And at the time when I was a part of YAYA, Ron Darren and the creative director was Rondell. And so he was very pivotal pivotal to me to influence me into like pushing and being more creative and trying different things. And I think at the generation that I was in, they influenced the artists to like try different things. At that point, they were bringing in, intentionally bringing in mentors in different fields so that you can experience what it was like to work and understand the artist, but the work side of those different fields, anywhere from animation to textile design or to fashion. Like they brought in professional mentors in those areas. We've had the owner of Aniche. Aniche is a small brand, anywhere from, we had some Disney employees and creatives and executives and different people come and show like different parts in the process of animation. And so we were exposed to all of those different things. And so not only did they mentor us, but they brought in mentors from all different, types of fields. So the program was very intentional about making sure that you were surrounded by those influences.
Yeah. So you're always had somebody to go to.
Yeah, it was always somebody there because, the group of alumni would kind of hang around and, if you weren't putting in enough energy, because it was a competitive environment, like she said, they'd be like, what you got going on? So, you always feel like you wanted to do better.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I didn't have a group of alumni. I was one of the first groups. So the people who inspired me at YAYA was the founder, Janet Napoli, my commercial art teacher at Robert Wayne, which was around the corner in the CBD, Miss Madeline Nesky. Miss Madeline Nesky actually was pivotal in the fact that, she was hard on me in class. She even made me cry once because she was tough, but that was to make me a better artist. She also contacted me about 11 years ago about a job opportunity to teach at St. Charles Parish Schools, and she was looking for somebody. She was retiring, and she needed a talented art teacher, and the first person she thought of was me. And of course, at the time, I resisted because I was like, I didn't know if I want to teach in the classroom. I did Urban Heroes, which was fine. It was great. But when she explained to me the program and how these kids you identify would be actually somebody you can inspire to be the artist that maybe you was once or whatever. And so I took on the opportunity, and it was one of my best decisions. But Ms. Nesky was very pivotal. And I think even people like Ms. Dennis, who was there on a regular basis, and who I remember first walking in, she was working on a project, I think, for college, and just having those adults around in the beginning days of YAYA was really inspiring, and they were very tough. They were very tough. They had high standards. I mean, you were not going to be in the show if your work wasn't up to par. The first New York show, Janet pulled me aside and said, I cannot accept your art for the New York show because it wasn't ready, right? Like, it was very tough back then, but I think that helped me really appreciate the process. So when I am teaching, as well as creating, I understand that there is a process to greatness. And sometimes you need those people in your life to push you, as well as inspire you. So I do have to give homage to those people at YAYA for being my mentor.
Well, yeah. So we have been able to hear about, the start of you all as artists, and then also YAYA's contributions to that. We definitely will start to get into what are your current projects, and what are you currently working on. So I'd love for y'all to tell me. So Rooted Echoes emphasizes connecting with community and heritage. How do you see your work as an extension of the New Orleans community?
How do I see my work as an extension of the wellness community? My work, I feel it definitely reflects the locals of the city. I feel like the locals are often not shown in the limelight as often as they should be, but they are the ones that help make us so unique, our city so unique. I mean, we are the rhythm of the city. What is down to even some of the young students, I guess as an educator and stuff, seeing both ends as a teacher on both sides, you kind of see the struggles and things that they kind of go through. And the backgrounds that they come from and the environments that they come from. And they are really what keeps us like kind of moving within our actual lives. Like even down to the bands, like for Mardi Gras time, or for different games or anything like that, down to the second lines that we always celebrate every Sunday, that they come marching down the street, people having a good old time with their drinks and their food, all those different things. It all makes us just that special. It makes us who we are as a city, you know, and always so wholesome and have just that sudden hospitality with the food. Like it makes everything great. And I really try to express that through my work, the different portraits and things. I love to play off of our skin tones because we come in so many colors and so many shades and things. And I just love how it shows on like the wood textures that I work with within my work. Even, especially when I do, and what I've been working on mostly with wood burning. I love like how the natural brown tones kind of show through the wood burning. It shows all our grains and all our flaws that really makes us like truly beautiful. Even down to the soul of who we are as people. So I really try to capture all of that essence within my actual portraits. And show that like, hey, this is who we are.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
For me, I actually had someone to use the words culture bearer to describe me one time, and it made me kind of sit down and think about what that meant. And I think as artists in the city of New Orleans, because our culture is so rich, as a creative, you feel a responsibility to represent, you know, the culture of the place where you come from, because it's very distinct, and you don't want your art to not, if you say you're from New Orleans, you don't want your art to not exhibit those characteristics and those things, you know, so it becomes like a responsibility, because you want to not only represent yourself, but you want to represent, you know, where you're from and the culture of where you're from. And I think that's natural, because when I see other artists' artwork, I can kind of tell, you know, that their culture resonates in their art. And then on top of that, as an artist and working locally in the city, you get commissions for art from locals. And so you wind up being a part of those cultural experiences, because they're requesting you to do art that's specific to whatever that event is. Say for example, one of the pieces that I have up there, well, two of the pieces that I have up there directly reflect work that I've done with like different cultural events, like working with a crew, a parade crew on costuming, or working with a Mardi Gras queen for a ball, you know, the queen of one of the art organizations. And so it kind of merges together kind of naturally, what you do and, you know, the environment that you do it in. And I just recently started to, but now as I gain, you know, age, I guess, I do appreciate it more. So now I would kind of like fully embrace, you know, what it means to be like a New Orleans girl. Actually, I just put out like a self-published book on like sewing, teaching you how to sew, and it's called That Sewing Guide, DAT, and it's subtitled Lessons, Hacks, and Professional Secrets from a New Orleans Girl. So it's kind of New Orleans themed. And so it
Where can people find it?
right now it's on pre-sale on Instagram, and it has its own page called That Sewing Guide, DAT, That Sewing Guide, and it's available for pre-sale on there. And it'll, it's under review on KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, so it'll be available on Amazon as soon as it's approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the question has to do with how New Orleans, how the theme
How do you see your work as an extension of the New Orleans community?
Wow, okay. Well, you know, just like her, you know, you don't want to be put in the box, the New Orleans artist, but I think you embody New Orleans, because I find that even when I was in Atlanta and I was trying to find myself artistically again, people could see when they saw the colors, they saw the movement, they also saw my personality, but they saw all the movement, the music. So it's like, I think it's just embedded in our, almost in our DNA kind of, sort of, you know, in our soul, you know, in a way. So it's always permeate. That's what makes New Orleans so awesome, because you can't get away from it. And that was a resistance to be anything associated with New Orleans for me. Like, I had a love-hate relationship with the city. So to have this sense of pride now, and it was a journey, because I even remember working at Jackson Square in 2009 for that year, and that's when I really became really like, wow, you know, I started to see like her, what people wanted, what people were drawn to, and started to really appreciate the history of New Orleans, what was iconic. And, you know, and I don't really like to think about it unless I have to, unless somebody wants me to do a commission for them. I try to do things that just embody how I'm feeling in that moment, my mood, because art is an extension of who we are as people. So we're always telling a story unconsciously sometimes. So I think a lot of it is from the subconscious. And just being in this rich city, music, culture, that you can't escape it. It's like, it's there, you know. So my work, you obviously see it, right? You see the color, you see the movement, you see the music, you see the food. I mean, all the artwork, these wonderful artists, all of it, you just see it. You just see the soul, you see it. And it's just a wonderful thing to be a part of, and I truly appreciate, you know, being from here.
I do want to get into highlighting, continue like your current work. So is there anything that you would like to talk about your recent work, whether it's something you've done in the past year, that you'd like to highlight as, you know, something that has been very impactful to you?
I would like to highlight my past series I did at Dillard University. That's really when I was kind of in my experimental, I guess you could say, era. With my wood panel pieces, like before I used to always paint on canvas, but after experimenting and talking to mentors, even like from Terrence Osborne and things like that, he expressed to me how wood was always like amazing, like so far as how the colors appear, and I just started growing to love working with that more and more within my actual pieces. And I really wanted to kind of explore the identity of us, I guess as Black people, melanin people of New Orleans, locals. It was really interesting time for me, I guess you could say. Working on that John Mitchell and that Xavier, and even a little bit here at YAYA. They opened up the studio to me, and I was able to create here as long as I wanted to, which I'm very appreciative of. And created the show We Are Endangered Species, thanks to Anna Adeline Foundation for the grant. Shout out to Anna Adeline. But I wanted to really express like how our youth deserve their flowers. I mean, they are appreciated, they are loved. I feel like sometimes we often can see more of the negative, I guess, stereotype about it on social media, about how they're being resorted to gun violence or the music that they listen to, those different type of things. Like they are a product of their environment, but you know, even just like for YAYA is a pivotal example of like, you don't know what you are until you're exposed to these different opportunities in front of you. You know what you're going to be. I didn't know I was going to be an art educator. You couldn't tell me. Right? You couldn't tell me I was going to be an art educator. But just growing, finding that love like of what they do here and expressing like how you passing on the torch to the next generation. And that's what they instilled in us. And I felt like it just kind of stuck with me, and I was just like, hey, why not? You know, who else can do better? So, yeah, definitely. Through the Endangered Species, that show, I was able to be introduced to many different artists, professors. open up to different type of projects coming. Like even now, I'm about to work on a mural. I was telling some of them with Disney, with the new Captain America.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's gonna be on the. So that will be next week. We're gonna definitely have a ceremony for that, and we'll promote it. And I'm pretty sure YAYA will promote and stuff. But yes, it's definitely been great to express those different things and able to have that show and for people to come and see, and can't wait to see for you all to see what comes up next. Yeah. So I know it's a mouthful.
Yes. Any recent projects or exhibits or any work of yours that you'd like to highlight?
Well, obviously, I finished my Disney journey for this round. It was a wonderful journey. It was a 4-year journey. They contacted me back during the pandemic. The tail end of the pandemic, they wanted me to come up with some concept sketches for the Imagineers as they were dreaming of the new Princess and the Frog ride. At the time, it was just Princess and the Frog ride. And what started out as just simple sketches ended up being, you know, some original paintings, and then ultimately some retail product for short-term sale. Very exciting experience. It was a learning experience as well. I learned a lot about myself as an artist. I also learned a lot about the process of licensing and that whole process. And I had opportunity to travel, you know, to both parks. I experienced a ride only once because I'm not into like the rides like that. But I do like to, you know, just tell young people, you know, you're never too old. You never, you know, don't ever put yourself in a box. There's always an opportunity waiting for you. Just stay at it. You just always never know. Be at the right place at the right time. My artwork just so happened to be at the right place at the right time for them to see me, which was at YAYA, right? So I really, really appreciate that. And so moving forward, I just want to continue creating amazing works. I want to also dip into some other mediums and also fashion, get a little bit of that, you know, and just travel more, but also just to continue to inspire young people every single day that I teach, and just the concept never to give up. I am so proud of these two young ladies. I remember when they were so little young in high school, and I think I would pop in every once in a while because I probably was in Atlanta at the time or whatever, and just moved back here, and I would see them, and to see them blossom, you know, I'm so proud of you guys. So if you need anything, you know, you can reach out. I'm so proud of you. You did a great job curating the show. And like, I mean, this gives me much joy. Anytime I see a young person, family, friend, it doesn't matter. I just love to see, you know, that, you know, I can make a difference just by being present. Just by being present and showing that I haven't given up. To me, that inspires me. So I just want to continue to do that. The world is my oyster. The world is your oyster. Just continue to be present in this world, this crazy world. Stay positive and just stay uplifted as much as you can.
Do you want to highlight any recent work that you've done in the past year for everybody in the audience?
I was just making sure I didn't want to be asking the wrong question. But I do want to highlight this current collection that's on exhibit, which was curated by Kara Crowley, the world-renowned curator. I'm thinking that. Yeah. So and just actually a lot of like, because I was pulled so heavily into the fashion design side, this is actually my first exhibited show. And so the spectrum of experiences that you have, I guess, as an artist can be very different. And so for a long time, I was just doing commission work, just like pieces for like, you know, people who wanted wearable art or even just wanted fashion. And so getting the opportunity to have exhibited work and to start, you know, on that trajectory as opposed to on the runway or on, you know, a piece that you'll never see again because it's going in someone's closet. And so this is the first example of that. And so this collection is actually, you know, the collection that I want to highlight. Shout out to Derroles Taylor.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to create it and as a self-expression and celebration, which is rare for artists because you have to make money, as you get responsibilities. You don't get to just spend time just expressing yourself because, you gotta live stuff. So, the opportunity to just do art just for expression is, great. And so I do want to highlight these pieces. Also, wrestling back and forth with the seamstress, designer, artist thing. This year, I've decided to start just embracing all of it, which is why I put out the book, That Sewing Guide, because all of those different areas kind of come together, to make what I do happen. And so as opposed to just being resistant, just being no, I'm an artist, no, I'm an artist. I just, am gonna kind of try to explore this year what it can mean to be, that multifaceted person. So I'm gonna be doing, a little bit of everything, mentoring, teaching, which is where the guys come in, is lesson plans and offering lessons, offering different opportunities to learn, different mediums, and just kind of do what they're doing. Because I've done some of the summer programs, mentoring students in the school system, but I've never worked as a teacher. But I do, have people come and do sewing lessons or different classes and stuff independently. And so I think that's important to kind of share the wealth. And so that's more of what I was focusing on, putting the plan, executed for that in January. And just, there's a lot of, different facets to it that I'm working on too, as far as what I do and all of the different components that it takes, like the culture bearer side, and starting to market that so people can know you as that person. Because when you hear Terrence Osborne's name, New Orleans culture bearer. So just trying to make sure that, I'm executing things in a way where people kind of recognize it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And to that point, I know we're coming up towards the end of our panel. I know it's been very engaging. I hope y'all have enjoyed this so far. And so we've talked about, how you got started as artists, your current work. But I do want to ask you one last question to everybody. What legacy do you hope to leave through your artistry?
What legacy I want to leave?
I know, it's loaded.
I mean, I guess to continue to find your creative side, find different ways to express yourself, and what makes you uniquely you. Don't try to be put into a box. Be optimistic. Don't afraid to be challenged. And I just want to inspire those to continue doing those things. That's all I've ever wanted to do. I've always wanted people or even my students to express themselves in the best possible way. To see different parts of life that they never get to experience. Don't be afraid to expose yourself to the community and where you are. Don't be afraid to embrace your identity and who you are in the most creative way possible. Just express yourself creatively, whatever that is, whether it's through music, whether it's through visual art, whether it's through making fashion, any type of way, through social media content. I know content creating, that's an amazing thing also. So, just finding the best way to express yourself creatively that makes you happily. Internally, spiritually, mentally, honestly, I think that's the best thing, honestly. And I'm glad to express that or give advice. I'm always willing to help, whomever wants to elevate themselves as visual artists as well. I'm not afraid to give advice to those different type of things. I think some people, they're kind of afraid to ask for help. But please, no, don't be afraid to ask for help. No question is a crazy question. But yeah, I guess that's the best possible way I can answer that actual question.
Good job.
Yes, very great.
Well, I would like my legacy to be, think about that. It is a tough question when you really think about it, especially the older you get, because there's a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
A lot of stories. I would like my legacy to be, I want to be known for being someone who never gave up, who always kept her eyes on the prize. And like when people tell me, you know, you're doing great, in my mind, I'm like, you haven't seen anything yet.
Right.
I'm still going. Disney sounds great, but that's nothing compared to where I want to go. You know, I want to be able to be someone that, hey, if you're feeling down or you're feeling discouraged about your art, know that, look what Sharika did. You know, she is, you know, of a good age, and she's continuing to go forward regardless. So I want to be known for just being somebody that just persevere through trials, through personal struggles, through whatever it is in life, and just never ever give up and to pursue your passion. I pursued my passion. I continue to pursue my passion. There's a lot I want to do, so I want to keep at it. As long as I have life, because life is not promised. We all know life is precious. So to be able to use this God-given gift, the gift of creativity, is what I want to leave, that I did not give up. I pursued, I persevered, I conquered, I succeeded. That's what I want to leave. That's what I want my legacy to be.
For me, of course, passing things on to the next generation. But I always had this funny thought that, and this I guess sounds a little morbid, I want everybody who I've made a dress for to wear it to my funeral.
Girl.
Okay. Like I want to see a room full of my pieces. And so it's just like when you make something that's usable, that's functional, you just want to see people function in it. You want to see people live in it. And so that's the legacy. And also passing that down to whoever wants to learn it. Like Kara said, I'm an open book. You know, like I think as YAYAs, I guess we naturally became that because we were surrounded by, you know, the people above us who were sharing all that they knew, and the people that were coming in knew who we were responsible for sharing and helping them. And so when we got out there into the world, it was just natural for us to just not gatekeep, just not keep the skills that we learned to ourselves. We just kind of naturally put it out there, like anybody who asked, we freely answered. Like it was just nothing that we were like, oh, that's my secret, you know? So I think that habit creates a legacy because you don't take anything with you. You kind of leave it all here. So you're sharing everything that you know with everybody who wants to know it.
Yeah.
So before we close out, I did want to open up the floor to see if you all had any questions for any of the panelists before we close. Yeah, don't be shy.
Hi, my name is Peggy Ragus Matthews, and I'd like to know how would you get one into YAYA? My grandson has draws very, very well, and I'd like to know how would I go about encouraging him and getting him, you know, into YAYA, into some school that can sort of, you know, help him along the way. He's here. He's 11 years old.
Where is he? Where? Stand up. Sixth grader.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're able to come to the space. Usually we have programs, applications available in the spring, and either the spring or usually right in the summertime. So I mean, we're looking for students now. They could come in, bring any type of current work that they have. They'll come in for our interview, ask different type of questions, what they like to work with, any type of mediums, and we usually just start from there.
Okay, I'll show you some when it's over. I have pictures.
Okay, yes, I would love to see them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright. Great question. Any other questions?
Oh, you go first. No, you go first.
My name is Sharika Mahdi. I'm mother of Sharika Mahdi. I am so proud of the ladies. Yes, I was here with her, of course, over here, and I can see where Miss Mesky started, the founder. And I wish she was here, because I want to give her a hug. All the things she did out for years, and I see her working out.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, so my name is Mia. You all did do so wonderful. You did wonderful as a moderator. My question would be like, how do you guys find your voice as a creative? Like, how did you guys go about that process of getting your own voice?
I'm the oldest. Let me do it. The voice. You find your voice through trial and error. I mean, you literally just have to put yourself out there. Part of being an artist is taking creative risks. So sometimes, voice is such it's a broad term, voice, right? Because your voice changes, right? It depends on what's going on in that time in your life, in the world. Your voice get magnified different ways, right? So right now, my voice is about speaking, about being happy, but also promoting healing through my art. Whether it's through colors, whether it's through movement. So I'm leaning more toward a more abstract feel to my art. Whereas before my voice was about being fun, being musical, doing all those things. So the voice has changed, I think voices. So I find it just through my experiences, and I think artists who are really into their art, they just, I don't know if you guys get inspired, like it's almost like when I get inspired to do art, I want to do it right then and there. Like I have that itch because I'm inspired by something and that really connects to what I want to do already or whatever it is. But I think the voice is just your subconscious mind displayed in the topics you choose or the way in which you want to see the world or how you want people to see you. And it's like I said, it could be a lot of things, but that's how I see that being as far as the voice. Daniel?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, one more way. Oh, wait.
For me, I think I've recently kind of understood the answer to that question in a different way. Because I've recently started doing old lady things, so I've been binge watching I've binge watched the Antique Roadshow because it's really interesting to me. But what's most interesting to me is like when they are telling the story of the life of the artist, because they'll have the painting and they're telling this really personal story about where they grew up. When they got married, their relatives, and how the painting got to where it is. And it made me realize that their self-expression is what made their work recognizable. So you can look at the piece and tell they did it, and it's nothing specific that they had to do, because that's naturally what they do. They're just expressing themselves. But then their life, just living their normal life, getting married, having kids, going through all of the things that they're going through, and their voice changing, is visible in their art. Because all of those famous artists, you're like the person who's examining a piece will say, oh, I can tell this is one of his early works because it looks like this, or I can tell this is one of his later works because he started experimenting with this. And so that's kind of what it is. It's just life moving and on a canvas. It's that person's life. Some of the artists will have painted the scenery from the place that they vacation in every summer. And so that's what the person will say. Well, we know this is his work because he vacationed in Italy every summer, and this is the view from his chateau in Italy. So it's just like, it's just your life displayed on the canvas. And so just being genuine and just painting like what you feel and your experiences, that's what people are going to recognize the most, I think.
All right, one more question.
Oh, I know you.
Okay.
with Derroles. I mean, you kind of just go through those different phases. When I first came to YAYA, it really was just me doing portraits of, like, I'll be honest, like celebrities and people who I've seen, you know, until like I would get questioned by my professors, like, what else can you do, you know, besides just painting like people? And I was just like, oh, well, I mean, it's what I'm good at. But then it's like, so it really allowed for me to kind of really interpret and think upon, you know, how else I can really express myself. Like, don't be afraid to try, you know, glass blowing. Don't be afraid to do ceramics. And really just dibble and dabble in those different mediums. That's why I guess I could really say I found my voice. And like Derroles said, it changes over time. You know, you get inspired, you see something different. Hey, I want to do a series on Black women. And I did a show on Help Her Grow. Or hey, I recently did a show on We Are Endangered Species, and it was mostly about my students and Black young men. So it's constantly going to change over time. I mean, through different variations of mediums. So, and you, over time, people will start to realize, hey, that's Kara Crowley's work. So, and that's how you really find your voice.
Could I ask one quick question? Do you picture it in your mind first and then put it on the canvas, or do you start the canvas first and then it you know, develops and turns into what you want it to be?
Well, over time, it's evolved to where I literally start to think about it first. And I actually tell my students, that's actually an art form in itself, especially with students who are so used to something in front of them, that to be able to visualize something without outside stimulus to get you creative is it's a skill set nowadays. And I tell my students, try to visualize the painting in your head or the drawing before you do it. It may not come out exactly like it, but that should be the inspiration for you, to be able to visualize something, to be able to transfer it on paper or on canvas. So I tend to visualize a lot. Sometimes it's like with every artist, you don't. Sometimes I just pick up blank canvas and start going freestyle, right? And sometimes I'll do a sketch because I want it to be I want to say something, right? I want to say something. And other times it's the visualization in my head. So I do like to see the colors and in my head ahead of time. And everybody's different.
Yeah, for me, it's a combination because sometimes I'm inspired by something that I see. So you're influenced by your environment, like something you see, you'll get inspired by, and then it kind of starts creating creative thoughts in your head. So you'll be walking down the street and see a certain scenery or see a certain person or the way that they're dressed, and you start, you know, visualizing different creative thoughts. And so I am an artist that, you know, likes visual stimulus, like different things that I see inspire me. And so it usually starts with that for me. Like I'm usually inspired by something, even if it's just inspired by a certain shade of blue. I'll see it and I'll be like, you know, oh, and it'll just start sparking like different creative thoughts. Yeah.
I thank y'all so much. Y'all did an amazing job.